Hello, big uns. I'm Rock, the big handsome Ogryn. And today I got a video that I've been cooking for a while here, trying to gather my Ogryn data. And I got a tier list for you, as requested. And thanks to my lovely friend Kith, we also have a spreadsheet that you can fill out yourself and make your own tier list as well based off the answers that you give. I will leave instructions in the link down below, and I'll also link the spreadsheet as well for you to do if you would choose to do so. And with that, I would like to thank everyone who subscribed so far. We are on the road to 500 subs, and we are making really good progress, so thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far. If you haven't already, do me a favor and bull rush into that subscribe button and maybe snap that shovel and fully charge shovel overhead into that like button down below. I would greatly appreciate that. And also to let you know, I do stream daily. Around 5 to 7 US Central Time is when I start, and then I go to about 2 or 3 in the morning, just depending on the day. And if you would like to see me stream, just ring that bell and check me out. Come say hi. As a disclaimer, this tier list is a mixture of objective and subjective. This is just how I feel. You may have your own opinions, so go into this with an open mind, and I would love to hear your thoughts as well onto where you would rank things. And with that, let's get right into the tier list. So the format of this tier list is S through F, skipping E. S standing for this is all across the board, just very good. A is it is also very good, but not my preference, or has a little bit of a downside to it, but still very good. B as in it is average, and then C is slightly below average, has some downsides that make it not perform as well as other weapons. D is not very good. F is stinky. So first we are going to start off with the pickaxes. So I'm going to first talk about the Carsolis. This weapon right here is my bread and butter. This is the weapon that I have the most hours with, so I am a little bit biased, and the weapon that I am the most comfortable with. Putting that aside, this weapon is phenomenal. So, the Carsolis, the Mark II pickaxe, the light one, if you want to call it that, the lightest weight one. So, first let's go over the pros. The pros are, it has excellent horde clear, aka cleave, has just immaculate cleave, can seem pretty much endless at points. And it is also great against armor, with heavy hitter stacks, you two-shot crushers, so it is very good against all enemy types. It is also great against bosses. It is very safe to fight bosses with, as it has a high reach out of Ogryn's weapons. A lot of Ogryn's weapons have high reach, but I feel especially with this weapon you can safely fight bosses, i.e. the Chaos Spawn, and take minimal damage. And it is also excellent stagger. If you weak spot enemies, if you weak spot crushers, it will stagger them, and you can also stagger them using what I believe to be Ogryn's best weapon special, not talking comically wise, but just overall, the hook. So this weapon has the hook ability, and with this hook ability you can stagger crushers, maulers out of overheading you, so it makes it very safe, and also does very great strike down damage as well when you do this hook ability to these enemies. And it can stagger pretty much anything besides a boss with this hook. I guess you can't stagger a meteor or some disablers, but like it could stagger a lot of shit. So it's a very great ability. And something else about it is it has great weak spot hit numbers. If you weak spot enemies, it does big damage. And if you want to, if you really harness this weapon, you can block cancel out of that second heavy that kind of swings downwards, and you can get that first heavy off that is more of a diagonal swing. That is more optimal. So that is something that will come over time, and I don't always do that myself, but it is very effective against armor. And it also has great mobility and movement. So the mobility for this is it has plus 0.13 move speed, so you're moving quicker than average, and it also has a great dodge distance and a sprint cost of 1.3 stamina per second, making it so that you don't consume much stamina when sprinting with this weapon. It is a very light weapon, and you feel very quick and snappy with it. I just love it overall. So, I would say the one con to this weapon is the block into a heavy. I don't think that it is good. I think that the block into a heavy is better on other pickaxes, and this one is that weird poke and then into an overhead. Yeah, so this one is going to be our first S tier weapon. Next we have the Barovian pickaxe. This is the Mark III, and this is what I'd call the middle of the road axe. So the pros to this weapon is it hits breakpoints very efficiently, and you can two-shot crushers without stacks. And with this weapon, it has the first heavy being a side sweep, and that second heavy being a strike down attack. And you can chain your cleaves by doing heavy 1, light 1. And it also has excellent horde clear as well. It has a better block heavy than the Carsolus, and also has Ogryn's best weapon special ability. So I was really conflicted on... actually, first, let me get into the cons. This takes more steps to get horde clear. Not very many, it's just using a light instead of 2 heavies. But that is less toughness that you're replenishing from that, so I'll take that into account here. And it has less mobility with a sprint speed of 0, on par with a lot of Ogryn's other weapons. For example, the Slap Shield, the Power Maul, and it has a sprint cost of 1.45 per second. So it's a little bit slower, but not too slow. And where I'm going to place this is, I was really conflicted on where to put this. I think that it could be an S tier weapon, but this is my subjective point of view coming in, and the fact that you can two-shot crushers with both the Carsolus and the Barovian, I think that the Carsolus trumps over the Barovian. So we are going to put this in A tier. And finally, we have the final pickaxe, the Brinks. This is the heavy strike down one that has those heavy hitting strike downs and is a little bit slower than all the other pickaxes. This is the Mark LA, and so let's get into the pros of this weapon. So it is the best weapon on hitting breakpoints on enemies, as it has great strike down damage, and it has that better block heavy than the Carsolus. So it has the same block heavy that the Barovian has. And the cons of this weapon are it has poor mobility with a move speed of negative 0.2%, which is the slowest of all the Ogryn weapons, and you have a sprint cost of 1.59 per second, so about 1.6 per second. So it feels slow to use this thing. It feels sluggish, and it also takes too many steps to get into horde clear. And its special isn't as good as the other marks, as it is a push that pushes enemies with the front end of the actual axe part. I don't know what you call it. And it pushes them forward, and then you can chain into whatever attack you want to do. It doesn't have that hook that staggers into an overhead. And the toughness regen is slower. I remember running this in the past, and you would need something like the chain attack blessing just to get that toughness back. So I would say it is in a better spot, being that you can get toughness off of lights now, but it still is, its damage can be overkill, in my opinion. And it being a slower weapon, I just feel like it doesn't fit into my playstyle. Some people really enjoy the Branks, but for me, I think it's too overkill. So for me, I am placing it into B tier. So next up, we have the club family. And the first one I'm going to talk about is the Mark III, the Brunts Basher Club. That is the club that is being showcased here in this gameplay. And let's go over the pros. So it is super fast lead attacks, very, very fast. And it has incredible stagger, staggering everything around you, being a very safe weapon to use. And it is lower cleave, but compensates for great safety and fast attacks and knocking a lot of stuff around. So with the lack of cleave, you get safety in return, and also just damage on knocking everything around and staggering it, and just getting a lot of attacks off. So, and it is great for boss damage as well. This thing is great for bossing, and it has great movement speed with plus 0.14 sprint speed, about the same as the Carsolus, and a sprint cost of 1.45 per second. So you're able to maintain sprinting for longer with this weapon. It is a lighter weapon to use and just feels overall very nice and smooth to use. Also, its third lead attack is a very nice weak spot friendly attack that is a strike down. This attack can also be activated by doing a push into a heavy, and this just does really good damage on a weak spot. Now going into the cons of this weapon. So it feels like you need heavy hitter talents to maximize its damage output, and it doesn't feel as viable with Feel No Pain compared to something, say, like the Pickaxe. And it lacks cleave compared to the Cleavers and the Pickaxe, so you will be doing less damage overall to hordes, but you are, of course, staggering them all. So, and I guess one pro that I forgot to mention is, I mean, this is for all the bullet clubs, but it has the funny slap that is also very powerful into hordes. So, but with all that being said, we are going to rank this as our second S tier weapon. And next up we have the Mark I, the Brunt Special. And this is the heavy strike down one. This one has good, so the pros is this one has good single target damage. It also has great stagger, and it has a third light which has great weak spot damage, or your first light after 2 heavies. And the cons of this weapon are it lacks cleave and damage against hordes. It doesn't hit breakpoints as well as the Barovian, all the pickaxes, and needs something like the Rumbler or the Kickback for horde control. And it is slower than the other marks, not as far as move speed goes, but as far as attacks go. So this one is going into the B tier. And finally, we have the Mark II Club, the Brunt's Pride. This one is the middle of the road club. It is in between the Mark III and Mark I as far as how it plays. So similar to like how the Barovian is the middle of the road on the Pickaxes. And this one, the pros, is it is decent at horde clear with heavy 1, light 1 as the combo. It is also okay at armor damage, like all the bully clubs, with light 1, heavy 1 being the combo. And the cons to this weapon is it has a max cleave cap of 5. This was increased after the rework. Before it was 3. So maybe with this you want to take the cleave blessing or cleave node on the talent tree. And the first heavy can also hit unwanted enemies because it has that very wide swing, and it does not have fast lead attacks. So it also lacks hitting breakpoints on armored enemies and does not do anything better than the other marks. I just feel like it is very poor compared to the other two. It does not fill a niche, and for that reason I'm going to rank it in the D tier. So next on to the Cleavers. So First, starting off with the Mark IV Cleaver. This is the cleaver that is showcased here in the gameplay, the stabby one. And the pros to this is all cleavers have this, but it has excellent mobility with mobility of 0.49 move speed, so sprint speed, and a sprint cost of 1 stamina per second. This also has excellent dodge distance, and this mark is the best against armor penetration for cleavers, with the optimal moveset being heavy 1, light 2, with a punch before all that. It is also great cleave on par with the pickaxe, with the moveset being push into a heavy 1, and then heavy 2, and then followed up by a light attack for 3 sweeps. And it is also great for taking down captain shields in Havoc. Its punch is able to stagger crushers and pretty much anything except for bosses, and it is able to one-hit poxwalkers, which is pretty funny. And the cons to this weapon is it takes more hits to kill armor, it requires a higher skill ceiling to use properly, and it has a slowdown penalty when charging heavies. This is kind of hard to explain, but if you use it, you will know. And it cannot safely kill bosses like the Chaos Spawn. And it has low stagger on hit compared to other weapons. And chaining into the heavy attacks requires that you consume stamina. With all these being considered, we are going to place this in the A tier for its great mobility and also being the best armor pen out of all the cleavers. And next up we have the Mark III, the Bull Butcher Cleaver, also known as the Lawnmower. This is one of my favorite cleavers, and the pros is great horde clear with just light spamming for that horde clear, and it also has a nice overhead heavy as well. And the cons of this weapon is it has okay armor penetration, but not effective versus a pack of carapace enemies compared to the Mark IV. It is better with can opener or the rumbler to complement it to take on these armored enemies, or even say something like the grenade gauntlet. But it also has slow heavies as well, like the Mark IV. It just has this weird, I don't know, it just doesn't really make sense. Like this small knife for Ogryn, he takes so long to wind it up like it's this big heavy thing, but I don't know. But for these reasons, that it's not as effective versus armored enemies, that it is going into the C tier. And finally, we have the Mark VI Cleaver. So, the pros to this weapon is it has no slowdown effect when charging those heavies. It feels really smooth to use, and it is also excellent for horde clear. It is on par with horde clear with the other marks, and does not require stamina usage like the Mark IV does. And I would say it's honestly on par with horde clear as far as just trash mobs go, with, let's say, the Zealot's heavy sword, or even the pickaxes. So it is great for horde clear, and just feels really smooth to use. I really hate doing this, but it has just really bad armor penetration, so we're going to stick this in the D tier. I am sorry, Mark VI. I love you, but you just don't have armor pen, sadly. The next family we are going to go over is the shovels. First one we are talking about is the Mark 19. So pros, this has great horde control, but requires the cleave talent, and it is a light spam for that horde control. And also the heavies are strike downs, and flip shovel can do big damage. Look at this damage here, look at that. Look at that captain just gonzo with that big old smack from the shovel. It's really fun using this thing. I recommend you give this one a shot if you haven't already. Also, its non-folded heavies, which are all strike down attacks, are very nice damage as well. Easy to to chain into. And also the flipped version of this one-shots beauties, just a little added bonus. The cons of this weapon are as follow. It has low mobility for a one-handed weapon, with it being on par with the Barovian. Honestly, I think they could bump up the move speed on this thing, as it is a one-handed weapon. I don't see why it's as slow as it is. And it requires the cleave node to feel better at higher difficulties. And the slowdown effect when charging heavies can be kind of annoying, but it's not terrible. For these reasons, we are actually going to put this into A tier, as it has big damage potential and a very nice moveset that it makes it a good all-rounder for you. I did debate putting this in the B tier because it feels better with the cleave node blessing, but regardless, I think it still belongs in A tier. Next up is the Mark III shovel. This one is the one that does not fold and has the special of the punch. And pros, it is great for hordes with lead attacks, has a very similar lead attack pattern to that of the Mark 19, and it is also a powerful strike down with its heavies, and it also looks cool. I used to always run this shovel before the rework because it just looked cool. And the cons is there's no compensation for its heavy damage. Not being able to fold, it has the same heavy damage as the other Mark 19, and so I just can't put it in the same tier. But its optimal moveset for armor is heavy 1 to light 1, or a heavy 1 block cancel, which is, I don't know if that's more optimal, but that's what I'm used to, so that's what I do when I run the weapon. And it also has a really nice stagger punch as well, so you can put that into the pros list. But for all these reasons that it just falls slightly short of the Mark 19, I am going to put this into the C tier. And finally, we have the Mark V shovel. So this is the shovel that has the heavy swings that sweep from side to side. So the pros is its simple moveset with heavy 1, heavy 2 just being easy cleave attacks similar to that of the Curse Solus, but just being more just straight horizontal sweeps. And also it has that snap for big damage as well. Cons is light attacks have a terrible moveset, if I'm being honest, and it also needs that cleave node. So if you run this without the cleave node, it will feel pretty rough, honestly. So you got to make sure that you bring that cleave node with this thing to make it feel better. And it does not do great damage versus hordes without this cleave node. It's okay, and it also doesn't have that like heavy damage that you would get from swinging the pickaxe, as it has more of a lower swing. It's not from top to bottom being a diagonal sweep down, which I wish it was that way. I feel like it would feel a lot better if it was not horizontal sweeps, but instead being diagonal top to bottom sweeps. And it also I also wish that this weapon, as a side note, had the same blessings as the pickaxe, as I feel like with this weapon not being big on stagger, I think that it should have stuff like Head Taker and Slaughterer, because I just don't see Skull Crusher being too optimal for this type of cleave weapon. So with all that being said, this is going to fall a little bit more short of the Mark 19 for it not being able to hit those breakpoints on the cleave attacks and the lead attacks being pretty bad. So this is going into the B tier. Next up, we have the shield. So for this gameplay, I have my friend's footage. He is more of a shield user than I am, so I'm going to be showcasing him using the shield. And I did use the shield a lot before the rework, but I've just leaned away from it. But still, I will give my honest opinions on it. So the pros. Simple moveset with heavies. So it's just got easy heavy 1, heavy 2. So the heavy 1 does really nice stagger, and that heavy 2 just does really nice cleave. Chaining those push into the heavy is really nice, and also chaining a push into a lead attack also does great weak spot damage as well. And another pro is the shield plant is good versus the demon host and can be useful in some situations, but I would not grant this ability as being something to be overutilized or saving your ass kind of thing. I think it's very situational. So, and also this weapon has just amazing stagger and is just a very safe weapon to use. So, cons, it lacks damage, but is still pretty decent. Into Horde has really good cleave, but doesn't hit as hard as something, say, like the Pickaxe or the Cleavers into a Horde. And it feels good to use, but it lacks mobility. It only has 2 dodges, which feels really rough, forcing you to do a lot more of that push kind of gameplay style, which I'm just not one to fall into. I'm more of just slide around and dodge everything and just be really aggressive. So it requires a little bit more of a mixture between passive and aggressive gameplay, filling more of that beefy, tanky IntroGryn kind of role. So it's more of a preference of is this how you want to play? If you want to be very defensive and just be able to stagger everything, the shield is a great pick. So for these reasons, I am going to put this in A tier. And for our final weapon, we have the Paul, the Power Maul. So, let me share my thoughts on the Power Maul. Alright, pros. It can stagger hordes with its heavy, and its heavy has infinite cleave. That's what I got. So, cons. Heavies are super slow to wind up. And they take the weapon takes too long to power up into its special ability. It needs every impact talent to stagger crushers on its light 1 special attack. Its blessings are pretty poor. Its movement is also pretty slow as well. It is hard to use in high levels of gameplay. I tried doing a true duo with this thing, and it was torturous. It was very bad at clearing hordes and self-sustainability. Its damage is also very poor, and there was many moments where I was like, man, I wish the Power Maul did this. I wish it staggered this. I wish it didn't require this. I just think that this weapon has a lot more potential, and maybe a niche it could fill is maybe like a boss crusher. I just wish I had more properties of Zealot's Crusher. It feels like it still needs to be worked on. And who knows, maybe Fat Shark released this rework for Ogryn, seeing how the Power Maul would be with all the different changes to the talents and stuff, but I think still with all the talent tree changes, this weapon still sucks. I would love to see this weapon be good in the future, and hopefully it can get a rework in the future, but for the moment it is not good, and I don't think I'm alone saying that. So this is going into the F tier. That's what I made this tier for. It's the Power Maul tier. And that is my tier list for Ogryn's melee weapons. If you like this video, please do me a favor and leave a like, as this one took a long time to make. I have pages of notes, and I tried to say it in a digestible way and keep it at least kind of concise. And this took a while as I tried out each weapon and wanted to see how they feel. So if you like this video, I have another one planned for the ranged weapons coming in the near future. So stay tuned for that. Thanks. Bye.